So it's Wednesday, July 24th, and the Mag 7 stocks had a rough day, to say the least, led by Google and Tesla having not so hot earnings and the market just getting dragged down. So while this spread across the S&P and the NASDAQ and more, as well as individual stocks, I thought I'd take a look at the VIX real close so that we can navigate the rest of this month better. So I'm HEMA ready, and I use price, time, and momentum to boost my trading and that of my tribes. And here I have the VIX with the candlesticks. So this is the VIX Volatility Index, the CBOE Volatility Index, that is the fear gauge of the market. So when the VIX is falling, it means fear is dropping, which leaves room for greed to rise and lift prices. But when fear or the VIX is rising, it means fear is rising. And that's usually what propels the S&P and stocks lower. Now, I also have my favorite momentum indicator, the speed of the market, down below. I'm doing trainings on this week, so be sure to check your email for those invites. But I'm going to still speak to what I'm seeing between price, momentum, and market timing down below. So on this monthly chart, an important thing. You see this big green bar, right? And here we are. The month is not finished for July, but that big green bar, when you're looking at the VIX, can look scary. The thing is, we have to let it finish, and we also have to see that there is a barrier to the VIX climbing higher up at 2136. Now, I'm going to be real careful not to use words like support and resistance here, because again, the VIX is moving opposite of price. So I'll use upper barrier, lower barrier, just to make it real easy, okay? So 2136 is what I would want to see the VIX get above if I was betting on the VIX really surging, which would mean the market taking a more substantial nosedive. So that's number one. Number two, there's all types of trend lines that can be deployed in market analysis. And there's one that I'm seeing that can help shape what has gone on since this late 2021 peak. And you got to draw it a couple times. So I'm not best fitting, okay? I'm just choosing, do I want to draw with sequential bars? Do I want to draw to price highs that are in motion? And this, drawing to price highs instead of drawing just on sequential bars, has been useful because, look, it reinforces that 2136 is an important barrier, okay? So we're nowhere near it yet, right? This is a monthly chart, but now let's move to a weekly chart. So my RSI Power Zones indicator stays the same below. That's what I love about it. It doesn't have to change settings or anything with the time frames. Now I'm going to be on this weekly chart, so I'm going to readjust my trend line to match more exactly. And I'll see if there's any other information I want to consider. So for one thing, I can see that last week, the VIX posted a nano large green candle, okay? That's my take on candlesticks, where I look at the support resistance within the candlestick, all right? So I'm going to take a quick look at this and see if we hit a nano level. So check this out. 1386 in the VIX was a lower barrier, okay, like a floor on the VIX that you could have gotten out of this July 19th week. And we came so far this week to 1390. That's just 0.04 away from that. So that's the importance of actually digging into those candlesticks and getting those nano levels out. You never know when they're going to provide you useful information. Okay, so now let's take this to a daily chart in a moment. First, I want to highlight something. Take a look at the RSI Power Zones. Okay, even with knowing nothing about them yet, take a look and bring your eyeball back to the recent peak and the recent peak and a peak before that. See how they're all hovering around the same levels? That's when you can really take the movement of the asset. So in this case, it's the VIX, and look at the speed and really better make predictions, frankly, about where it might go, because you start understanding the history of its own speed. You're not just objectively saying a market should have X momentum or Y momentum, right? For overbought and oversold. That's what I love about the RSI Power Zones indicator. So with this information in mind, let's move on to the daily chart. All right, so here we have those same levels that I'd marked off. We have the low that actually came in on the VIX on Tuesday, so now I'm going to mark that as well. So I have overlapping labels, so I'll just nudge them apart. So 1390, 1386. The RSI Power Zones on the daily chart of the VIX are continuing higher after basing in the Bull Sport Power Zone. Again, the words I'm using in the VIX don't translate that directly to price action. They're moving opposite each other, okay? So the S&P, the Dow, they're going to move in the opposite direction generally of the VIX. So now what do we want to look at here? I want to know if and when this surge higher in the VIX may find another pause, because I was able to predict that last week. So I actually saw that when we were coming into this action on Friday, July 19th, I was like, you know what? I can tell from my various measures of price, time, and momentum that we're probably not going to go higher in the VIX right away. And that's exactly what happened. The S&P turned higher, the Dow turned higher, the NASDAQ turned higher while the VIX fell. But then as it started to come into this important level of the VIX and important levels on the price charts, I saw when the bears might resume, and I got my traders ready for that in the S&P Edge Pro. So we were able to take advantage of both sides of this market this week. The upside that happened Monday and Tuesday, and the downside that happened here on Wednesday. So again, I'm going to take a quick moment to pull out some levels that we can monitor to see where the VIX may head next. So here's some of the important upper barriers on the VIX. 1897, 1977, 2056, and then that 2136 we had been talking about. And then on the underneath, below the current VIX levels, 1535, 1463, and the 1386 and 1390 had already put out. So there you have it, some key levels to watch on the VIX. Now, if you want to know more about my thoughts on how these may affect the actual price action, say in the S&P 500 markets, that's where you want to come in and get my research. I share reports on the E-mini S&P 500 futures multiple times a week, nearly daily, and on the SPY ETF once a week. That's my macro guide to what will happen in the ES. I also do live trainings. I have a few going on right now this week, so be sure to check your email if you're on my tribe list for your invitations. Be sure to check the live events calendar at my website, himaready.com, for information there as well. And we will navigate these crazy times together. Who knows what's going to come in the news cycle? I mean, it's been a wild 3-4 weeks here, but remember, no matter what you trade, to use the VIX to help guide you. All right? And if you found value in this video, please give it a like, drop a comment down below, let me know a golden nugget takeaway that you had, and I'll be happy to take a look at those and reply myself. Catch you next time.